I'm Jordan.
And I'm Tyler.
And this is the Inside Music City podcast. Welcome to another episode of Inside Music City,
where it's our job to talk to music industry professionals about the ins and outs of the music business.
This episode was brought to you by our wonderful patrons. If you want to find out how you can become part of the Patreon family, as well as getting some behind-the-scenes content, visit us at patreon.com/Inside Music City. Today's episode is with Katie Kaupp, who is the founder of Female Seacrest. She got her start at the young age of 15 when she began interning at a local radio station. There she acquired radio experience, interview skills, and discovered her passion for working with artists one-on-one. After years of working in Miami and Atlanta, she decided to move to Nashville, where she's starting to take the music business by storm. Female Seacrest now helps artists in the area with social media assistance, management, PR, and more. Her social footprint of the brand has expanded to over 100,000 people. One of the reasons why Katie is so successful is because she always puts people first. She says that without the people and the passion they have for their craft, she would never want to do this job. During our conversation, we talk about her start into the music industry, how she grew her business, and she tells us about her new vlogging channel called NashGal. I hope you enjoy this episode with our friend, Katie Kaupp.
Katie, thanks for joining us in Jordan's home.
No problem.
Yeah, this is new. We usually go to people's offices, but now we're in my house.
In your house.
Yeah, so we really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us and just talk about what you do.
What was the event that started it all for you?
I don't know, like when I was 15, it started when I was 15. I was in high school and I would just go to concerts a lot, and I worked at a couple of radio stations in South Florida, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew that I loved music and I wanted to feel like I was in that, because I had so many friends that were like musicians on the bigger circuit, and I was like, I don't know how I can be cool like you because I don't sing or play guitar or do anything. So little by little, I would just go to stuff, and I just became friends with these people, not just the people singing, but the bands, the tour managers, the behind the scenes people. I started working with smaller artists in South Florida area, doing their social media, and then it grew into a little bit bigger. Record labels came to me, different entities were like, hey, like, can you do our social media, whatever? And I want to say I was like 16 when I started doing that. And then I got in a bad car accident when I was 17. I was supposed to be a veterinarian because my mom always wanted me to have like a logical job, like that's going to make me money and I know where my paycheck's coming and all that stuff. And a week before I got my college acceptance letters, I got into this bad car accident, and it really, one, made me realize I did not want to be a veterinarian, and two, made me just really change my whole course of life. I went to school for a year, hated it. Went to college for a year close to my house, hated it, dropped out. My dad passed away the second year, and that day I went to my mom and I was like, I can't go back to school. Like, I just can't do it. And without her, I would never be able to do Female Seacrest. She literally was like, okay, I hear you. You can switch to online school. And she's an educator also. She was a teacher. So to her, that's like a big no-no, like, oh, don't go to college or don't go to school. Like, education is very important, and I've always been brought up like that. And both my parents were network marketers throughout their whole life, which is why I can talk to anybody because I've been used to going to meetings and stuff. But yeah, so that really, I don't know, it took like 4 years for like Female Seacrest actually to like come to be. I got my website Christmas after my car accident. So when I was like 18, I got my website. I went to my mom and I was like, hey, this is what I want for Christmas. And she looked at me and she was like, what? And I was like, I'll show you where I'm making money already, blah, 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 all this stuff. I could have sworn she thought I was a drug dealer at this point, because I'm bringing home all this money and she's looking at me like, how are you getting these clothing sponsorships? How are you doing this? I'm like, Twitter. And she's like, what is Twitter? Like, she just thought it was like a networking thing, which it was, but I turned it into this, I don't know, people would like pay me to tweet for them and stuff. So yeah, and I didn't even know at the time that I was. So I got the website. I had someone help me, my mom helped me trademark an LLC, my name, because she's a businesswoman. I was just coming out of high school. I didn't know what I was doing next week. Like, I don't know anything. And she helped me really get it off the ground, and she was one of my first investors in it and everything, and she just always supported everything I wanted to do, even though it's not, like, my one brother was a poli-sci major, 3 degrees, went to University of Miami, all this stuff. My other brother, is a computer genius and does all this other stuff, lives in North Carolina, has a family, and I'm like, I just want to be in the music industry. That's all I want to do. And I'm also the youngest, so of course it's like she wants to make sure I'm okay. So, but I moved here in Nashville, and slowly but surely she's believing more and more in female Seacrest as the days go by. I can feel it.
What exactly do you do for those listeners that don't know you?
So Female Seacrest originally started out as a publication. It was just a journalism site that basically got smaller artists to be known and be seen by bigger publications or labels or other people, since I did have I started out on Twitter. That was my largest social following. We do have, I think it's 88,000 followers right now on Twitter. At the time it was like 50,000. So we've grown 30 plus thousand in the last couple years. Which has been awesome. And so we just started off there, and then it grew into kind of a one-stop management company that if an artist came to me and didn't have the money to do something, we were like, hey, let's figure out a way, payment plan, or I'll do it for free, pro bono, because I believe in the artist that much. And then branched off from there. We got interns and a bunch of other people to come help us because we just grew too much, too fast. So it went from journalism to one-stop management company to PR company to social media marketing company. And that's where we're at now.
How did you come up with the name Female Seacrest?
So Female Seacrest is really funny. I was in high school and I was doing this radio stuff, and I was also working at a recording studio in Miami, and I would go to school and have all these pictures like every night. I was like one of the top kids in my class with all the other, like, all my friends were like the top kids, and we would like be always studying and all that stuff, but I would always be going out to concerts and staying out till like 4 o'clock in the morning. And my mom let me because she saw that I was doing well in school. As long as I was doing well in school, that's all she cared about. She didn't care what else I did. So I was very involved in school, but it was funny because it was kind of like Hannah Montana. I had this ulterior like life, and everybody was like, how are you meeting like Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez and all this other stuff? And it was just because I would just go to these events, or with the companies I was working with, they had these events. So one of the kids in my high school was like, I don't know, I guess they were people get very frustrated when, like, if they're a big fan of somebody and you get to meet them, and let's say you're not as big of a fan, or you don't say you're as big of a fan, they get very butthurt basically if you meet somebody. So I don't remember who I met somebody, and they were like, who do you think you are, the next female Ryan Seacrest, like whatever. And they wrote it actually on my Facebook, and I had a bunch of people going like, actually she is, like, oh, this is really funny, like, or whatever. And I just remember I was like, okay, how do I take this bad thing and turn it into a good thing? That's what my whole life is about, is bad to good. So I just took out Ryan, so I can't get sued because using a name is not legal. So I used Female Seacrest, and yeah, I've been Female Seacrest since I was like 15 or 16, and that's just how it just started growing from there. And I just, like, people literally call me that now, which is so weird because it's like I'm Hannah Montana, like I have another person with me, so it's weird.
So starting this company at such a young age, how do you think that has affected the growth of the company in general? Like a good thing or a bad thing, you think, starting so young?
I mean, I think it's good because I learned a lot of the no's and the, like, all my things that people mess up with early on. And I did have my mom to really guide me and help me. And I did have a lot of parental figures when I was starting off that were like, hey, this is kind of cool. You could do it this way, or you could do this, or whatever. And yeah, I think it was a good thing starting early. And also I got a head start. So I'm 22 now and I own my own business and it's doing well. And I can pay my own bills, which is great, and I can do whatever I want basically. And I really don't have to have, my mom's biggest thing when I was growing up was that she never wanted a boss. She was always her own boss. She did her own thing. She never needed anybody to pay her bills for her. She paid all of her own stuff, and that's really what I aspired to be. So being 22, being able to pay my own stuff, and even though she helped me get to this point, now I can be on my own 2 feet. At 22, I know a lot of kids that are in college and still living off their parents. So, I mean, for me, that was my biggest thing. I just think it was awesome.
Yeah, that's great. Like you said, you learned what to do
Yeah.
early on, and you made mistakes early on. So now that you are at a point where you are now, where maybe most people are just starting out at the age that you are, and they're making mistakes, you've already made those mistakes and you already know what to do.
And I kind of like that too, because I do feel like a lot of people, especially because I'm so young in the young entertainment community, a lot of people come to me and they're like, well, how do I start this? And first of all, I love helping people. Like, I don't care if you have the money to pay me or not. I literally will help you no matter what. I'm also a sucker when it comes to that. It's probably my downfall, but I can't not help somebody. Like, even if, I mean, yeah, time is valuable and stuff, but if I can make time. Like, there's always time to be made. So I have a lot of kids, especially in Nashville, now that I moved here. I lived in Atlanta a little bit, and now that I moved here, a lot of people are starting journalism companies or PR companies and all this other stuff, and they're entrepreneurs. They want to do this stuff, and so they come to me, they're like, what do I do? And I'm like, well, you need to start off with this. You need to copyright your name and LLC and all this stuff, and start your business, and start it right, like genuine, so that there's nothing bad. Your foundation is the most important thing, and if you start your foundation poorly, then when it grows up, it's going to be poor. So, and that's the biggest thing. And I mean, I love the success stories too. So the underdog is my favorite thing ever.
Right.
So that's why I work with a lot of smaller artists, and I have been blessed to work with some bigger artists also. But it's just cool, yeah, to watch it all grow up.
Can you define what a journalism company would be?
Okay, so a journalism company, basically, it just depends. So like Female Seacrest, we do PR, social media, which is also marketing. And then we do publications. So we have a website that puts out different, like, we have artists that we also put out press releases for, and we send them to different journalism sites, but we also are our own. So we can break information first, we can put stuff out, which also brings back traction to the website, which brings back company revenue. So there's that. And then there's also, I mean, the management side of things, since Female Seacrest is a one-stop shop place. It's not just a journalism company. So we do like literally everything, and I mean, every company is different, but Female Seacrest, that's basically what it looks like. It's journalism and publications, press releases, tweeting, Instagramming, content creation, management, day-to-day meetings, photo shoots, video shoots, all that stuff.
How do you make money by doing like press releases?
I mean, clients will pay us monthly to do, like, we'll work with a client, and then for that month, whatever they got going on, if they're releasing stuff, or they'll pay us like a retainer a month, and then we get paid that monthly, and we work with them on whatever content they have going on. Let's say we'll do 5 press releases that month, depending on whatever price point we have them at, and that's how we make money off of press releases and stuff. And then also we get sponsorships for everything. So Female Seacrest is sponsored, and so am I as a brand myself personally. And then also we have NashGal now, which is a new up and coming kind of brand thing that you guys are actually one of the first people to ever know about. So
All right. Breaking news.
NashGal is like my vlogging channel, but because of what we've done in Nashville for the last year and what I've done as a public figure in Nashville, and I'm putting air quotes, you guys can't see my air quotes, but there's air quotes, because I think that's like the most obnoxious thing, like public figure, like, I don't know, it's weird. It makes me itch. It's weird. And so that's also another facet of, and this is all branching out of Female Seacrest, so it all comes back into the company.
What are some of the benefits of being a media company?
We get everything first, which I love because I'm a music fan. So that's why I do what I do, is because I love the music. I get to work with some really incredible artists, like from the get-go, from the very beginning, and really see where they're going, and up until the point when maybe they get signed or maybe they get a publishing deal or whatever this is when I made it pinpoint is basically. And I love watching that, and that for me is the biggest thing. Is, like I said, the underdog story is my favorite story, because everybody made fun of me. I mean, not everybody made fun of me in high school. I was fine in high school and everything, but there was definitely that group of people that were like, what does she think she's doing, kind of thing. And now it's like, hey, can you get me tickets for this concert? And I'm like, no, I can't, sorry. What was your name? Because these are kids that never spoke to me unless they wanted something from me. So, and that was a weird thing, but the best thing is just watching the artists. I mean, I love working just close to people, and I love people. So a day in, day out, not having to go to an office and work under somebody else. I get to work under myself. And yes, we get contracted out by different people and stuff, but I'm my own boss. I can say yes or no to anything if I don't want it, if I do want it. And no one tells me what to do, which is really great.
That sounds amazing.
That's the dream.
Yeah.
How do you find sponsors?
A lot of sponsors actually came to us. So through our Instagram and stuff like that, because of how vast it has become, Female Seacrest and my personal Katie Kaupp, they just see basically who we're with, who we're tagging in it, what kind of traction we have, interaction, and they come to us and go, hey, we would love to sponsor your clothing for this event or whatever. So we did like Playlist Live 2 years ago, and we had a company called Fashion to Figure come to me and was like, hey, we would love to send you this much money in clothing if you'd like to wear our clothing. I was like, heck yeah, I want to wear your clothing. That solves me having to wear the same things that I've been wearing, and it solves like my other people that were working with me having to do that also. So I was like, I'm down for that. So they basically just come to you, or they'll GM you on social media. And social media, I would not even have Female Seacrest without social media, because it literally changes everything. I network so much more on social media than I do in person, because literally I get like 500 people a day on my Instagram page. It says like it can tell you how many views you got. And I have people all the time come up to me and be like, hey, I saw you tagged in this thing and blah, blah, blah. And of course that interaction would never have been made if they didn't feel like they already knew me, thanks to Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or whatever.
Earlier you mentioned, especially like in high school and stuff, you were going to a bunch of shows, and you said you still like to go to shows. Mm-hmm. Just love that aspect, love meeting artists. What is the process of buying a ticket, going to a show, and then turning that into something that you can use for your business?
Well, so most of the time we don't even have to buy tickets. I haven't bought a concert ticket. I think the last concert ticket I bought was like 3 years ago. Like actually a concert ticket that like I went for business, not for pleasure. I mean, half the time I'll go for pleasure and turn it into something. I'll do like a write-up for the show. If it's that good, I'll be like, yo, this needs to go on the site now. And I'll take like iPhone pictures, even though it's not like the best because you don't have a press pass or whatever. But most of the time we get press passes, so we'll send in about 2 weeks to a month before the event. We'll be like, hey, you go and contact either the management, publication, or PR, booking agency, and you're just like, I would love to review your event for this artist. You let them know what artist it is, let them know what venue it is, what date, so it makes their lives a lot easier when they're going into everything. And just say, these are my social links, this is my website, and then check it out, see if you like it, and then usually they'll go, yeah, we'd love to put you on the list for a press pass, and you'll either get like you need to let them know like whether you're doing camera work, videography, or just like write-ups, and then they give you free tickets. They put you on the list, and they're like, how many do you need? And I usually say 2, because I have me and the camera person usually, because it's the one thing I'm not great at is photography. I can do iPhone photography, but actual camera work I'm learning, but it's not there yet, which is why I have other people working with us, which is awesome. And we just go and we have a good time. And then at the same time, I'm always taking notes on my phone, whether the song set list, like what order they went in, or what really stood out for me, whether it was like their lighting or, I mean, something they said on stage. And I'll always be taking video, of course, because that's the foreground. Getting in front of everybody else is the number one thing in journalism. Like, you need to be the first one to put the stuff out, because somebody else is going to do it. But if you're the first, you'll get the most interaction. So and it's always making sure that you're the first, which is difficult, but it keeps you on your toes. So but yeah, you just basically email them, and most of the time having a website makes you more legitimate. So if anybody listening is looking to get press releases, it was so difficult my first 3 years doing Female Seacrest without a website, which is why I went to my mom and I was like, I need a website. Because I wanted to go to all these concerts. I didn't want to pay for them. Like, that's expensive. Like, going to a lot of concerts. Like, I've been to, I think last time I counted, it was 975 in the last 5 years.
Whoa!
So that's a lot of money, especially if you pay for them. But thankful for Female Seacrest. And also, Female Seacrest was kind of a way for me to get free tickets to go to concerts because I loved them and I couldn't afford it. So that was like a big thing too. But it's super easy, and people don't understand how easy it is until they start doing it, and you're like, oh, wow. And they're giving me like a backstage interview, and they're doing this, and they're doing this. So especially early on people, like beginning people, it's a lot easier.
So how do you get in contact with the people to like email them? Like, how do you find out who you need to email?
Oh, you literally Google the artist name. You either put manager, PR. Usually you go through PR. That's usually what you're doing because you are a publication, so you need to deal with the publicist side of everything. So you'll literally Google, or you can go on Facebook and go into their info, and they usually have their PR handle manager. And I always blind carbon copy the manager with the PR just in case it doesn't get through to someone. And they'll always be like, hey, this is not the right place, but here's this person's email. And then they'll put you in contact with it, and boom, like that, you're with the right people. Like I said, it sounds hard when you first say it, and then when you start doing it, you're like, oh, this is fine.
But then how do you turn around and make money off of that?
Well, I mean, that's all of our content. So like for people who can't afford to actually go to these shows, they live vicariously through our website or through our YouTube videos or through our live Insta videos or whatever. It's all content creation. So even though we're not making a direct profit off of it, you're making it in the long run, because without the content, you wouldn't have a website. You wouldn't have your people following you. You wouldn't have like sponsors coming to you and be like, hey, you have this many followers, because without the followers, no sponsors. Without the sponsors, can't do anything. So it all is like a dog chasing its tail continuously, like just going around in circles, and without one, you can't have the other.
Do the artists themselves or the management company themselves expect something from giving you a press pass?
Yes, usually it's like, usually the PR company or the publicist, whoever's working with them, will be like, hey, send me the link to your, because obviously if you're going to do a press pass, then you're going to have some kind of either photos or a write-up or whatever. And when you do your initial email, you'll say, I want to do a write-up, or I want to shoot for my website and put them up on my Facebook. Either way, it's free exposure for the artist. So they're of course going to let you do it, especially if you have a good following behind you. But then on top of that, like they'll expect you to like link back and like check back in within a week and be like, hey, this is the article that we wrote. Usually I have mine up the next morning. I'll stay up all night, especially because like it's the best when you just come from it. So, and like I'm kind of a fangirl, so it's fine. Like I'm a fangirl for everybody though. Like I am my friend's biggest supporter, and I love that, and I'm like biggest cheerleader, and I will be the obnoxious person screaming in the very front if there's nobody behind me. I don't care, because I believe that like there's a hustle behind everything, and it took a lot to get on that stage. So if they're willing to go up there and belt all of their emotions out for you, and that's like the most vulnerable you could ever be, and they're doing it. And especially if there's nobody in the room except for you better make sure that you are the biggest fan in that room, literally.
What have been some of the lessons that you've learned through this whole process of starting and becoming and growing into Female Seacrest?
Well, music industry is a very difficult industry to be in. But
why is that?
It's very dog eat dog. Not as much in Nashville, but when I lived in Miami and Atlanta, it's very dog eat dog. So it's a lot of, yeah, I'm gonna promise you this and I'll promise you that and all that stuff, but nothing ever comes of it. I hate that part of the industry. Like some people will walk in and like feel like that they're more important than people and expect things, and everybody's working their butt off the same. So you need to respect everybody the same way. And like, I don't know, like the biggest, yeah. The music industry is difficult, but I love it because it's a constant uphill battle of who you know, and which is also like a crappy thing because you have to know certain people, but then it's awesome because it makes you network and meet people. Like I wouldn't be as outgoing as I am if I wasn't in the music industry. I'd probably be like sitting at home eating mac and cheese with my dogs. Like that's it every night. And now the music industry has me out every single night, which is I never complain about, even though most of the time I'm like SpongeBob when he has the clothespins and he has to keep his eyes open. Sometimes that's me because I wake up at like 5 a.m. every morning, no matter what time I go out till. So it gets difficult, but it's worth it. But I wouldn't change it for anything.
Yeah.
What are some of the mistakes that you've made that you're willing to share with people to try to be like, hey, steer clear of this because this is something that I did and it didn't work? Don't
trust everybody because a lot of people will tell you one thing and stab you in the back next time. Not that I've gotten stabbed in the back, but I've seen plenty of people get stabbed in the back. I don't know, just work your ass off. Like, I curse, I'm sorry. Just work your butt off. And I don't know, like the biggest, don't take no for an answer. I mean, that's a big thing too, because a lot of people someone will tell them no and they'll be like, okay, my career's over. And you can't give up that easy. And I know a lot of people that have. If you are passionate enough about it, you'll figure out a way to do it. Everybody told me that moving to Nashville is the stupidest decision I ever made. And I was like, I'm gonna do it either way. I came here without money, not without a car, and I worked at Goodwill for the first 10 months I lived here. No one knew I worked at Goodwill. Until I quit Goodwill and I announced that I had been working at Goodwill, and everybody was like, what? How are you going to all these events and doing this? I was like, Uber. Uber's my best friend. All of my money that I basically made at Goodwill went to Uber rides and like ramen at the dollar store because all my money went to Uber. So I lived in Bellevue, which is like a 25-minute ride. So it's like $25 to go each way. So that's $50 a night, which a lot of people didn't even know. And I was like, I didn't want people also pitying me because I hate that. Like, don't pity, like, especially when I got in my car accident. I was like, half people don't even know I had a car accident.
So when you say don't take no for an answer, do you mean ask that same person again or go to somewhere else and ask?
Both. I don't know. Like, I'm so hard-headed. I will go back to the same person until they tell me yes. I'm just like that. I've always been like that. My mom hates it because I remember when I was little, she would be like, no. I'd be like, why? Because she always taught us, don't take no for an answer. Ask questions. Ask why I'm telling you no. And she'd tell me, because I said so, or she would tell me like an actual reason, and then I'd go, well, because I said so isn't an answer, and then she'd be like, okay, you're a smart kid, I get it, I've taught you this, it's annoying, but this is a good thing to teach a kid. And yeah, I mean, I say you keep knocking on the door until they open, and if it's like 5 years and they're still not saying yes, okay, then move on to the next. But at the same time, you should be doing this, like, all of it at the same time. So if one's saying no, you should be also asking the other person at the same exact time so that someone says yes.
Did you start out with this confidence because of how you were raised and it just evolved when you were stepping into the music business?
When I was in middle school, I was not confident at all. I was this weird kid that liked like rock, heavy rock. My mom was concerned at one point. I would go to Hot Topic and buy like Fall Out Boy t-shirt with a big skull on it. My mom was like, absolutely not. That's not happening. She literally cut up one of my shirts and said, you ever come home like this again, you're out. And I was like, okay. Wow. And so that scared the crap out of me. But I wasn't very I was confident in high school only because the people around me made me feel normal and made me feel accepted. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like I said, like your social surroundings is a huge part of who you are. And if you don't, if you don't have a good social surrounding, it's whoever you surround yourself with. So if you surround yourself with somebody that's like beating themselves down all the time, you're going to be beating yourself down all the time. You're going to be looking at your flaws. You're going to be like, my butt's too big or whatever and all that stuff. And I just don't think that's even healthy. And also after my car accident, I said like, to hell with it. And I'm just like, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And because I could literally die at any point. I literally almost died. And after that, I think moving to Nashville also made me very confident. Everybody up here, I feel like, is very in-your-face confident. And at times, yes, I'm not as confident, but I still feel like I'm somewhat confident. And my mom I literally feel like I talk about my mom all the time. She's my biggest role model. But my mom always I don't know, I've never seen my mom not confident. So that's somebody that I looked up to, and she was in networking and she was around people all the time. And if you're comfortable in a situation, you're obviously gonna be very confident in the way you speak, and people will listen to you also. And I've seen people more receptive to me being confident than me being like, I mean, sure, yeah, we could, I mean, okay. And being meek, basically. Yeah. And I used to be very much like that until after I quit college. After I quit college, I was like, no one's gonna tell me what to do. I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm gonna be independent woman number one. Beyonce, where you at? Literally. And I just kind of developed into my confidence. And like I said, moving up here, definitely, I have very confident, powerful women around me up here. Some of my best friends are my role models up here. So it's very cool to watch and see. Also, I feel like women these days are so much more everybody's a powerful woman rather than only a couple. So, and like I said, I surround myself with the best. So
yeah, a big portion of what you do is interview people, right? How have you seen your interview style change over time?
Well, I went from being, and that's another cool thing, when you were talking about confidence, I went from being very meek and I would use my phone all the time and read the questions right off and not even look at the person. And I would just keep transitioning into questions and have no common conversation. I'd just be like, okay, next question, and the next question is this, and the next question is that. So I've seen that grow a lot since the very beginning of interviewing. And I've gotten more comfortable with the more people you meet, the more comfortable you are around talking to literally anything. I could probably create a conversation with that water glass right there, and it would be if you put somebody else there, it'd be like, oh yeah, same thing. So, and it's really about really paying attention to what people are saying and dialing into that, while also trying to figure out what your next step's gonna be. It's always, and especially in your career, you always have to think about what's next, plan B, what's going on. So that's a big change that's since the beginning of my interviewing.
What was one of the best questions that you've ever asked somebody?
My signature question is my favorite question. It's, if you had to be a chair for the rest of your life and have one person sit in you, who would it be? And it's funny because people make that face that you're making at me right now. Yeah. And I had Hunter Hayes answer it. Hunter Hayes wanted to be Stevie Wonder's couch in his studio. People get in depth. One person was I want to be a stadium and I want Beyonce to sit in me. A stadium? Why do you want stadium seating? That's so uncomfortable. And then there's a whole bunch of different ones, different ways. And I always ask it last. I've actually had one girl come up to me that I was interviewing and was like, you're going to ask me that signature question, aren't you? And I was like, how do you know about it? She's like, I watched your interviews before this. And I was like, dang it. Because I love watching the spontaneity in their face. They're like, what is that? So it's cool.
That's a random question.
Yeah.
That's a weird one.
So we ask pretty much every single one of our guests these a couple of different questions, and it varies sometimes, but the point of it is just to not really think about it too long.
I have one similar in we call it female Seacrest secrets.
Number one, what is your plan in the event of a zombie apocalypse?
Oh God. Let's see, I watched The Walking Dead, let me think.
Yes.
Okay, my plan is to get the heck away from everybody because they're going to turn into zombies eventually, and I'm going to seclude myself with a bunch of water and food and canned food because you don't have no refrigerator in my car. And I will stop and get as much gas in gas tanks as possible, put it in the back of my car, and drive out to the desert so no zombies can eat me.
Okay. To the desert. Gotcha.
Yes.
Boom.
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 Boom roasted.
Even though I think that's horrible because I'm going to run out of water eventually and there's desert. Okay.
And food and fuel.
Well, okay, but I'll still live past the zombies because the zombies will be zombies and kill people, so it's fine. I'll seclude myself, basically.
Gotcha. What, on a scale of 1 to 10, how weird are you?
Oh God, 10, 11, 12. I don't know. Off the scale. Are you kidding me? Have you heard this interview? Yeah, I'm really weird, but I love that. I love people that are weird. I think they're so interesting.
Yes. What is something that you know 100% is true, but most people do not agree with you?
That I flipped my car into a canal. No one believes me. No one believes me that I flipped my car into a canal because it sounds so outlandish. And I'm like, I have pictures, and no one still believes me. I mean, like, some people believe me, but
And you have like the screws.
I have a scar that's like double my arm. And I have also another one on my side from my lung collapsing. And everybody's like, well, that, and also because my phone fell out of my car when I flipped my car into the canal, and I called 911. No one believes me. I still have the phone. It's just got a cracked screen. It was an Android. I saw the light from like across the the canal side. I don't even know what they call it in Florida. And that saved my life. And no one believes me. They're like, your phone did not fall out. I'm like, how do you think I called 911 at 4 o'clock in the morning on a road no one was going on? So no one believes me, but it's passion.
What is one thing that you're just not very good at doing?
Not very good at doing singing. I suck at singing.
And I'll do one more here. What inexpensive purchase had the most impact on your life?
This is a hard one. Well, my friend Phil Barnes, he's an indie artist in Nashville, and he actually moved up from Florida around the same time that I did. And he's one of my biggest supporters and biggest people that's like, hey, you can do this. I believe in you. I see you going somewhere. He actually wrote me, I paid like $5 to support him at the time. It was for like a guitar string bracelet. And to this day, I still wear it almost every day. It has like a little pearl on it. It's from his guitar that he played. It was just a string that broke off. And what he was doing is he was making bracelets out of them. I wear it almost every day because it reminds me that music is first. And that's the reason I am doing what I'm doing, because I love the music behind it. And to never really get caught up in the money aspect or the popularity aspect or being famous or whatever, because it's all about the music, and it's about what a good song is. A good song, and a good song is going to really push an artist, and a good song leads to a good person. Right. And that's, people are my thing. Like, I believe and invest in people more than anything else. So that's, it's like $5, which is weird, and it's like the pearl is like chipping off and like peeling, because it's just like, I don't know, it's like this thing that just is very important to me. And people think it's stupid, but I don't care.
It sounds like a great reminder just to stay humble.
Yeah. And I wear it all the time. It stabs me in the leg every single time I wear it, because it's like unraveling, and I need to get him to fix it. I'm going to ask him to fix it, but that is that. And then he wrote me a letter with it, a little note that I still have, and it says like, he's always got my back, and I always have his back, and we like are in this together, basically. And that's like the most important thing, and it's hanging up in my room on my mirror, and every day I see it.
What's something that you're trying to improve in your life?
Currently, my living situation, but business-wise, I mean, my website. Right now, we ran into some bad things with the website recently, so we're trying to get that back up because of how much traction was going to it a month. It got hacked. So that's another downfall of owning your own business, is that you need to figure out how to fix it. No one else is going to do it for you, so you got to figure out someone else to do it, and find it in your budget to do it that won't really hurt your whole company. And yeah, right now that's pretty much the hardest thing right now. So between that and I'm moving, and I've lived in like 9 different people's houses because we're waiting to find a perfect house. So between those two, personal and business, there you go.
What are some of the fundamental priorities in your life?
People. I believe in people so much so that, like, I don't care who you are. If you surround yourself with a good group of people and just treat everybody like you would want to be treated, and really respect people, and I mean, I kind of make myself the butt of the joke all the time, which is fine, because I'd rather people be laughing at me than like feeling bad about themselves. I always want to make everybody a little bit lighter when they leave the room. But yeah, people. Scooter Braun, one of my biggest idols besides Ryan Seacrest, really taught me that you invest in people and it will invest back into yourself. And I've never been happier until after I started living my life that way. Since I was 17, I've been doing that, and I am the happiest I've ever been. And it's just amazing how you can change people's lives, not even having to do anything. Just talking to somebody, actually caring about what they're saying, caring about what they're passionate about, which is what we basically base Female Seacrest off of. The whole thing is about really believing in people, and that's our biggest thing. And that's not only my fundamental, but the company's.
I like that a lot. If you were to give a TED Talk on something that you're not known for, what would it be?
It has to be something I'm good at.
Something that
not
you feel
related to like music or not.
It would probably be
social media.
Okay, so everybody has a bar trick.
Yeah.
So I was at the Highwall a couple of weeks ago, which is a local place in town, like a venue, and there was a security guard, and I was talking to my friend, and I was like, she has a boyfriend, so we were joking around, like if a guy comes up to her at a bar, I like put my leg up on the bar, and I'm like, boyfriend, like she has a boyfriend, don't touch her, like it's boyfriend. And the guy, one of the security guards saw me do it, and he comes over and is like, that is talent. And I was like, what? He's like, your leg? How did it go up that high? And I was like, I don't know. And then we go outside, and we actually had a competition to see who could have their leg higher on the wall, which is like the weirdest thing to give a TED Talk on, but I can help you. I can do it. You just need to, yeah. So that's like my bar trick. And we also went to Cheyenne Frontier Days with another artist I work with. We were in Wyoming, and the CEO of the company was like, what is this? I want to do it. And that's like my thing now, apparently, at bars. That's what I do.
That's
It's
funny.
just so weird.
Yeah.
But that's a
really
fun fact that no one knows.
Help your friends not get hit on.
Yeah, how to help your friends not get hit on. That is, you guys can't see it at home, but my phone background is literally my friend's ugly face. And this is how you help them not get hit on. So I could do, TED Talk, contact me. I got
There
you.
you go. Where can people find out more about you, about what you're doing?
All my social media, well, the company's social media is at female Seacrest. That's female, like you would spell like female, Female. And then Seacrest is like Seacrest, Florida, or Ryan Seacrest, Seacrest. So it's one word, female Seacrest. And then all my personal information is Katie Kaupp. It's KACIE on Instagram. So really easy.
Awesome.
Yeah, this has been great.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Hey everybody, just a few more things before you take off.
This episode was brought to you by our patrons. If you want to learn more about becoming part of the Patreon family and how you can unlock behind the scenes content, you can find us at www.patreon.com/Inside Music City.
If you enjoyed this episode, you can go to our Facebook page or our Instagram and let us know. Our page is facebook.com/Inside Music City or instagram.com/Inside Music City.
And finally, if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with someone that you think would also enjoy listening to or learning from our conversation today.
Thanks everyone. You're awesome.